All right then. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. And it is a good morning to you. It is a good day. I got that good feeling deep in my heart, deep in my essence, deep in the soul. I love you, I love you, I love you. This is the December Stepping into Consciousness tape. And because it is December, and is the Christmas, the Christ Day, a time of giving, a time of sharing, a time of receiving. I thought that I would even get this tape done and to you, perhaps by Christmas or pretty close, so that the joy of Christmas is there. Because it is Christmas time and you have been with me this whole year, I would like to share with you a gift, a gift of awareness. I have shared knowledge and ideas and concepts with you, and now I kind of just really want to share a gift. It's Christmas time. It's a time of giving. I feel that as a personality and as an individual and as a God being, I've never really been, closer, to continuously just flowing and being in joy and not buying into the things of the universe. And so the gift then would be more of a divine aspect rather than a physical aspect. More than just the words that you'll hear. But a feeling and a knowingness. It's really not about subject material then for, it's more about, let's just say, giving the gift of health. We'll start with health. Over the years, I have developed several different healing techniques, and they're designed to alter the physical structure. They are unique, and you hear me stand up in the front and go, if you do these techniques, you will become healthier and happier and better. And I demonstrate the techniques, and we all do them. And over the years, gosh, I don't really know how many I've actually done, but it's been a few. Because as the years go by, you drop some and you pick up others, and you drop some and you pick up others. And not all of you have been with me, let's just say 5 to 6 years now. And so there are a lot of techniques that some people have, forgotten about that are just out there. But we do them. These techniques on a physical plane and on an electromagnetic plane are designed to enrich the health of the body. Occasionally I get letters, and I do tell you this will heal you, and occasionally I get letters or phone calls from people who are doing the techniques. And the results perhaps are not exactly what they're looking for, but they are getting different techniques. They are getting different results. The results from the techniques will truly be a physical acknowledgement from the physical unit. When we do not get results sometimes, or those things that we expect, we need to look deeper within ourselves. Besides these techniques, these physical linear techniques, we need to not be judgmental on ourselves. Let me give you a deeper insight that will perhaps, allow you to see some of the concepts that you work with a little clearer. When I was born male and female, and so different things in my body had to be altered and changed. Now, They started at age 4, and then 6, and then 8, and 10, and 12, and 14. They did these different major sets of surgeries. Okay, so for 14 years, my entire life that I knew of, I was dealing with things. I also noticed that that's a 14-year psychological, physical, emotional, and soul hurting time. But yet inside those 14 years of continuous pain on all levels, I had to turn inside of myself to survive it. And what I found was that I was non-judgmental on what was happening to me. And all of a sudden, I was able to see life. But I also dealt with it for 14 straight years. And that's how I looked at it. So when you're out there and sometimes you say to me, well, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, I'm just not getting it. I mean, you're giving us techniques. Why isn't the results happening? It worked really quickly on your back. Yes, it did. It worked quickly on my back. But I also had these 14 years worth of practice. And so the greatest gift that I can share with you is don't get a picture on how long you feel discomforts should be there on your different bodies. The key here is that you are God. And the key is if you go into present time and don't judge anything that's going on, yes, this discomforts will be there, and they will be on the bodies that you are working on and learning on. But if you are in a non-judgmental space, you will notice that you will still be able to receive joy. Wow, there's some sorts of jets coming overhead. I can just really hear the noise. I can't really see them. It's the only thing breaking the quiet and clarity. It's really amazing outside. So if you hear an outstanding noise, those are just the jets going overhead. There's a lot of energy from them, and I wanted to sort of pick up on that and share that also on this tape. Now, the thing that we're looking at is don't judge yourself that you should instantly be healing. The techniques that you're using really do work, and they're easing up a lot. You will find, however, that if you become non-judgmental, and I had 14 years, my entire life, to practice this, I found that if I was non-judgmental, the pain wasn't there as often. It was something that I could just deal with. It became part of something that I did, like eating. And I noticed that I was able to receive joy into my heart. Yeah, I was in discomfort, and I was psychologically bummed, and I was like a human being, just like everybody else. Except that I really got to look closely at pain. I guess that's why I really became a healer. And occasionally I don't like to talk about it. Well, actually, I don't like to talk about that part of me at all, but let me just share it because it's real. For those of you who are dealing with pain. Because you know what? It could be pain, it could be anything. That's the gift. Because nothing is greater than or less than. I can use pain as a reference point. So here was something in my life that was very real. It affected me psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And what I did was I chose to find no fault within the discomfort. I wasn't at blame for what was happening to me. I dropped all of those things that took me out of present time, like blame and guilt and why wasn't it happening faster, and concepts of that nature. And I just chose not to judge it and accepted it for what it was, a growing tool. I could accept my lack of seeing. I have to see all the time with glasses, very heavy glasses, and I accepted that as part of what was. And then slowly I began not to judge it. Now, the pain in my body stayed, not physically, because after the age of 14, there were no more surgical repair jobs, and all of a sudden all I had then was psychological and emotional pain and a bladder that couldn't be controlled till age 21. So it was physical also. I basically kind of wet my pants. Now from age 0 to 21 or 22, whenever, I think it was 21, when I had to grab a hold of myself and alter myself, there was that part of me that still didn't blame myself, and even though I had to deal with all that stress and all that strain, I could still have joy in my heart. I could still feel love in my heart. I didn't accept my pain and discomfort as something that completely overruled my life. And I learned how to get that balance of not blaming, because I had it from the day one. So it's the best gift that I can share with you. And then I noticed that pains and discomfort came at different times in my life. And the one thing I went with was I would stay out of blame. And I noticed that when I was learning about myself, I learned to use my body as a growing tool, and I would smash it around when I was really trying to learn something, because I had figured out how much I could tolerate. So I used it as a learning tool. But I always knew that when I came out of blame and I didn't judge anything, even though the pain was there, I could still go to joy. I could still find God in every day, every one of my meditations. I could still deal with it. Then I began to notice that on my 21st birthday, I commanded my physical body to not give me any more problems, and it physically obeyed. It was a miraculous healing. A part that was not there went in. Then I began to realize that if I wasn't into judgment, I could really make things happen. Now, my body, however, still had a lot of growing and a lot of learning. So occasionally I would hurt it doing this or I would hurt it doing that, and then I started developing back pain, so I could hurt it occasionally. Now, I've been working on back pain since 1973. This is 1990. That's how long I've used back pain as a learning tool, because there are those of you who think that maybe I just miraculously wave my arms sometimes and that things get better. What I do is I miraculously go to all of the things that I've learned about God and how to support myself, and I stay out of blame and I stay out of judgment, and I find that even though the pain is there, it's tolerable, but I still can have joy. I find that even though there's discomforts there, you know what, if it's really intolerable pain, I do get rid of it quickly. And I've learned how to do that by not judging and being a good person and putting good light to it and not taking my attention off of it 1 minute in a negative way. Let me rephrase that. I got my thoughts were so far ahead of my words I was stumbling there. If something is going wrong, like something, let me use a real thing. 3 days ago, I felt like I might be catching a bladder infection. You could call it a yeast infection. You could call it anything that you wanted, male or female thing. And so it's just a thing. And all of a sudden, I thought, oh, wow. And I started thinking to myself, every time I urinated, I thought to myself, wow, the light of all of the love in my body is now passing through my body, and it's coming out as this liquid, and it's going into the ground through the sewer system, and it's becoming a loving thing. And all of a sudden, just 1 day of that affirmation, 2 days of that affirmation, the sensation went away, and bingo, it was back to perfect health. So I've learned how to jump on these things now. When I see myself slipping, I just love myself, which is going into present time or just taking the time to sit down and give myself a big hug. Loving yourself really supports you in not having judgment and all these other things. That's how I got rid of pain. I love myself. I don't blame myself for having it. I understand that I do my work on myself, and I do all little tricks that I can, but I stay out of guilt and I stay out of blame, and I'm willing to accept the fact that if it's here for 20 years, no problem. If that's what the universe and I am the universe have created for myself, then I'm totally willing to accept that. And even if I'm God and decide that I should have shortcuts and I should be able to make it stop, well, I have found those parts, those aspects of my Godness. But it has taken me years and years and years of working on myself to figure them out. And what it is going to God and letting go of the physical attachments, which is letting go of all the concepts, which is letting go of blames and guilts as to why they're there and it's not working fast enough for me. And I let go of all of those things and I go back to God. And because this is Christmas, always go back to God. That's what you are. That is your clearest, most possible state. When you are in the divine, that is what is happening. You are not judging anything on the physical plane. You do not have a care in the world. Everything is okay, even if your body is what in your mind would be considering racked in pain. Because when you are in the divine, that racking of pain does not exist. It really lifts from one's essence. It's not that you're able to tolerate it in the background. You know it's there, but the divinity opens up such a flow to you that it's sort of like listening to a radio in the background. You don't really hear it unless, the song comes up that you enjoy hearing. It's sort of like a backache. It's there the whole time. But when you're in the divine, it's not. It's like a radio playing in the background. But then when you forget the divine, it's like the song that you hear and you get this little, whoop, oh wow, my back, and you pay attention. The two are not associated in plus and minus concepts. That's used as an example. When you go into God, there is a truth that exists that takes you from the sickness and the discomforts. Going into my 30s, my back wasn't much of a problem. Living in the woods was helpful. And then going into my late 30s, I always had a little of this and a little of that. And you know what it is? I worked on everything that I've basically taught you in the tapes. How to love myself and how not to judge people. All of those things are what added to my health. All of these things are the things that I have shared with you since 1988. As a personality speaking to you right now, within a very lofty space, it's like at this split second in time, as a personality also speaking to you, not just a divinity, because I am in present time, but I am also all these things. At this split second, there isn't a thing in my body that hurts. Absolutely nothing. This last few months, I have noticed that by truly loving myself and truly doing all of the things that I talk about and really living the talk, I have discovered that even when the backache comes or the sharp pain that they said should be there comes, within all of the love of myself, it has taken me 46 years. Within all of the love of myself, I have finally learned how to eliminate the pain. Now, I know that's a long time. And I know that may not be comforting to some of you who are going, well, yeah, but I want it right now. Look at the material that I have gathered over all of these years and really get into understanding it and practicing it. And your body will really follow in that way. I have done more to my body in terms of hurting it and using it as a growing tool probably than most of you can imagine. I mean, I was born using it as a growing tool. I've never stopped using it. And if it's down here on the physical plane, it's on all of the other planes. And so I've used all my intelligence and my emotions and my feelings and my deepest insights to bring you the techniques that can physically work for you. Within the combinations of learning how to love yourself and to be the God essence that you are, you will truly gain that which you seek. But it did take me my whole life. I am no greater than or less than you, and I feel that what I have compiled in the last 5 years is an accumulation of my life, but I've also been practicing it like from the time of my womb. So if at times you feel it's not going fast enough, trust yourself, it will. If you go into present time, the universe is really speeding up. The next 3 months are going to be amazingly intense, just like this month has been amazingly intense. But if you've noticed you've held your center more and clearer, and you have stayed in your God light more than ever before, and it is something to really be proud of, because you are shining and it is truly working. And the planet, I can feel it and see it. It is reflecting the divinity. Also, there is, in this non-blame and this non-guilt and this present time thing, a chance to see yourself in a clearer way so that you can drop the blames and guilts. See, going into present time is going to assist you also in all of the techniques that you practice. And it's a combination of all of them, because some of the techniques don't deal with anything physical. Flow, develop. Don't rush yourself. Rushing yourself is a concept. Not rushing yourself is a concept. Flowing is also a concept, but it's something more in terms of present time than flow or no flow. Or not flow, but the other word. Rush. Rush or not rush. It's like happening, it's not happening. The time words. Well, I've lost the thought for a split second, which means I want to change now. But to wrap it all up, the highest thought for your health is loving yourself. And because it's Christmas time, the best thing you can do is give to yourself. Give yourself a look at your godness. Give yourself a look at your joy. Take the time out to go to God, to center in that avenue, and know that whatever's happening health-wise is perfect because it's what you've created. Learn from it. Don't blame it. Work the techniques with it. I am so proud of you. Stay with it. Regardless how it's looking, stay with it, troopers. The wonderful thing is I haven't received a whole lot of calls, but there are some. And I want to support all of you equally, It's sort of like, hey, if this isn't working, call the office and let me know so that I can send that support back out to you. Because sometimes we forget that God is really the answer. And that's really where it's at. And that's what I love to send back. God is the answer. You really are the answer. All right. Next gift. See, that's the gift of healing. Now, basically, that gift can apply to anything. Instead of it being a healing, you just fill in whatever it is. Money, a house, a car, your soulmate, whatever it is, whatever picture that you're putting energy into. Because that picture that you're putting energy into is what you're working on. You've got a major attachment into that picture. See if that, are you struggling with this picture? If you're struggling with this picture, then go to God. Because if you go to God, then you'll find that the struggle will disappear and there will become joy in the learning of what it is that you're doing. See how simple that is? Ooh. Okay. So, it works for any picture. Now, let me kind of kick around, and I'll take a couple other pictures, and we'll give the highest gift. Well, basically, the highest gift is go to God. That's why it's Christmas. Remember to give to yourself. So why don't I give you the gift of love? Let's talk about loving ourselves. Let's get back into centering into love. Love isn't a word, it isn't an idea, and it isn't a concept. So if you're having trouble with love, and if you are having trouble with it at all, and you've limited to whatever concept you have on that thought of love, let's let it go and take another look at love. Love is something that is its very clearest when you're with God. And that can be when you're in the divine body and it's just you sharing in the totality. That can be you also in the feeling body, where during that meditation you can feel it in your body somehow. It's like something you can't quite explain, but there's that phenomenal feeling of joy, of happiness, of love. You can have it on the physical plane when you're thinking with God and you're hugging someone. You're thinking of God and you're making love with that special someone. You're hugging yourself. You're not even in a meditative state, and you are so clear in that split second that you know deep in your essence that this split second is what you're trying to discover in all of the other seconds of the day, and that you are working towards understanding how to achieve that. Love is the reason you stay alive. Joy and peace, those states of being, are why we work on ourselves to attain higher multidimensional spaces, because we know that we really are all of that and that we really should have all of that. And that the only reason that we're not is something within ourselves that hasn't quite woken up yet, and we're continuously working on that to bring it to an aware state. That's what love is. We know we have it. We know it's within us. Because the universe at times gives us those sensations and feelings that allows us to perceive it and see that which is. Well, I see this side of the tape is running out, and rather than continue in this format, because I'm just really so filled with peace and love and joy, and I want to share that so deeply, and I am sharing that so deeply with you, that I will meet you on the other side. Thank you.